I'm a man in my 20s that lives alone on the very top floor of my apartment block. I've had short hair for the last 10 years of my life. The longest hair on my head is maybe an inch long, if that even. However, across my house, I kept finding long hairs on the floor, like long brunette hairs, at least 5 to 6 inches, sometimes longer, and they would be everywhere: bathroom floor, in the shower, in my cupboard, in my kitchen, on old clothes, living room floor, and sofas. I've been single since November and clean often enough that I'm certain it's not my ex girlfriend's hairs. Plus, the color doesn't match anyway. She has solid black hair. These are more like a light brunette. Plus, finding them in the places like the shower, where running water is hitting all the sides 5 times a week. Anyway, I waved it off as well. I work with a lot of people and use the gym and bus sometimes, so naturally hairs are going to stick to my clothes. Well, one day, this past April, I finished my early AM gym session and got that call that I didn't have to go to work that day. So naturally, I start to walk home all happy that I have the day to myself. I'm on the fifth floor, the uppermost floor, and the apartment is in such a way that there is only one apartment per floor. I start to hustle up the stairs and don't use the elevator since I'm sweaty from the gym anyway. Just as I whip a right to go up the last set of stairs from the fourth floor to the fifth floor, I see my neighbors on the third floor, daughter coming down the stairs. We lock eye contact. We've never spoken before, mostly because we've never had a reason to, but also because of our respect. I didn't want to make her uncomfortable, since she's 1921-ish, and I'm slightly older. The most interaction we've had is that I've spoken to her mother and father before, when bumping into each other on the stairs. I gave a confused, "Hello." At this point, I'm thinking that she maybe went to knock on the door to ask for something. A cup of sugar, maybe. I don't know. I was expecting her to reply with something like, "Oh, hi. Do you have any XYZ?" Nope. She gave a silent, "Hey," and brushed right past me. And only then, when the smell of my own shampoo hit me, did I notice her hair was wet. Like fresh out of the shower a minute ago wet. Now, I'm not saying she showered in my house, or that I have a stalker that's been living in my house while I've been at work. She very easily could have just been there to ask for something, and most generic brand shampoos smell the same. But don't the pieces all fit a bit too well? Her hair color matches the hair I would find around my apartment. And like I said before, they were everywhere. In my bed, too, in my sock drawers. And if it is a case of me having a stalker, how did she know I came home early enough to bolt out the shower in time? Our apartment doesn't have cameras. It's an older building from before 2000. And why would she be stalking me? For how long has she been doing this? We've never dated, never had a proper conversation. I maybe saw her 20 times in the past 2 years. Given that I work, and she presumably studies or works too, as all these thoughts are buzzing through my head, and I'm standing outside my door for a solid 2 minutes, grappling with what just happened. I go to turn the key to my door, and it opens without me having to unlock it. And I know for a fact I always double lock my door. It's the type with a lock near waist level and a second more secure lock with a different key around shoulder level. I drop my bag, throw off my shoes, and run to the shower. And yep, it's wet. I haven't showered since yesterday morning. I'm a confrontational person. Not that I go looking for fights, but I'll definitely pursue an answer if something is bugging me. So back down the stairs to the third floor I went, knocked on the door of my apparent stalker and her family. She opens the door but with the chain still on. I see half of her face from behind the door. "Yes, can I help? Were you at my door or inside? I don't want to make this a police thing now, but you came down the stairs and I know you were inside. I just had to get something. It won't happen again. Okay, bye, see you. Door closed. This happened last month. I've been cleaning my house every weekend closely now and got the locks changed and put a motion sensor camera above my door. It only films and triggers on the steps coming up to my door, so the fourth apartments still have their privacy. So far, so good. I don't think she's been inside since, but looking back, I think she'd been living in or going in or whatever into my apartment since January, because that's my earliest memory of finding her hairs. She never took anything of value like my laptop or the few watches I have. Seemingly, she just showered and ate some of my food and laid in my bed. I do now also always take the elevator and avoid the third floor like a plague. Edit. I'm not really worried about my safety because I'm 200 pounds and do a lot of fighting training. And two, the new camera has never gone off since installed, other than myself triggering it when I get home. Finally, three, I told the old retired husband and wife on the fourth floor that I suspected a robber was trying to break into my apartment last month. I didn't want to start spreading rumors and gossip, and asked them to keep an eye out when I'm on work. I feel fine and safe, just creeped out, like my personal space has been violated. Edit 2. Someone DM'd me to check my coats and bags for air tags, as to how maybe she knew I was coming home early that day. I don't have a lot of stuff, so I think I would have 100% found it by now, given how often I clean, but I'll definitely do another sweep of my stuff. Sometime in March 2025, I was delivering a catering order from my job to a doctor's office. As I was walking in the door to enter the vestibule, an older, kind of rough looking man opened the second door for me and helped me get through. When I got inside, I kindly told him thank you and went to go to the front desk. While approaching the desk, the man that opened the door for me starts trying to grab bags out of my hands, repeatedly saying, "I hope they tip you good." In my job description, I'm supposed to be the only one touching the bags until I'm given instructions by the receiving party. When I get to the desk, where three women are sitting, I ask them where they want their food set up. One of them told me through those doors, all the way to the back on the left. The double doors had bright red letters, authorized personnel only. None of the women working there escorted me to the back. The same man that opened the door for me is still yanking bags from my hands, while I'm trying to tell him I can get it. He insisted on helping me carry the bags. At this point, I thought he might have worked there, because no one else tried to help or walk me to the back. We get to the back, where another woman is there waiting for me. I asked her if she wanted me to set everything up, and she told me she did. I start getting everything out, and the man that had taken the bags from me was getting stuff out too. When I finished setting up the table, I heard him ask the woman a question. Her response was, "No, but thank you, sir." At this point, I was fully aware that he did not work there. It didn't make sense for her to respond that way if they were coworkers. He also clearly did not look like he worked with me, as I was in a work uniform and he was in a grayish kind of dirty sweatsuit. I started walking to the exit to get ahead of him. It was through the long, narrow hallway. He followed me through before, but I hoped I could get ahead of him because he had a bit of a limp. However, he beat me to it, so I tried to go around him. He starts walking in a zigzag, cutting off any way that I could go around him. When we get to the end of the hall, back to the double doors, he stopped and looked at me. So I went to open it and he stood really close beside me. We finally get back into the lobby and I start to leave. He stopped me and goes, "Let me ask you something. Did they tip you good?" I told him I didn't know and go to leave. He stops me again, starts the same way. "Let me ask you something," then says, "Can I have $3 to get the bus?" I did help you carry that stuff back there. I told him I didn't have any cash on me, but I could go look in my car to find some. At this point, assuming he was homeless. He looks at me like I offended him and says, "Oh, no, I am 69 years old, and I do not do that," as if I just offered to have sex with him or something in my car as a thank you for his help. I told him no and said I could look in my car for cash and bring it back inside to him. He followed me outside. I tried to run to my car and leave, but at this point he was watching me. So instead, I grabbed $5 from my passenger side and gave it to him. I try to leave again, and he stops me. "Let me ask you something. Why aren't you in school?" I told him I wasn't in school. He walks closer to me. "Let me ask you something. How old are you?" I lied. I told him I was 26. I thought maybe he'd back off if he thought I was older. He starts waving his arms in the air, making really loud sounds and laughing like he was shocked. He gets closer and goes, "Let me tell you something. Don't get offended." "Don't get offended," he continues. "I thought you were maybe at least 19. Trying to laughed it off. I told him I get that a lot and start to leave again. At this point, I've been able to back up enough to get to my passenger seat again, jump in through the passenger side, and get into my driver's seat. And he walked closer to my car. I lock the doors and start to back up. I look in my reverse camera, and he's standing behind my car, with his phone out like he's taking pictures. During the entire interaction, because I was in my work uniform, he was able to get my name, my job, my work position, my car, and a picture of driver's plate. I fully believed he was going to follow me back to my job. Thankfully, he did not. When I got home and told my family what happened, somehow, my mom knew someone that had just had a similar experience with a man of the same description. I looked it up on Facebook, and I was able to find a picture, and sure enough, same guy. A few days later, I ended up making a police report. Turns out, he's not homeless. He has a whole job in a house. The cop told me this man has been doing the same thing for 20-some years, only harassing women and scaring them into giving him money. People report him all the time, and nothing ever happens to him. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed those stories, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It really helps the channel. With that said, if you have any stories you want me to narrate, my Reddit link is in the description below, and I would love to read them here. And as always, stay depraved.